Awesome. Hello, my name is Marian Nguyen. I am the Employer Engagement Coordinator for Graduate Business Career Services. And I want to thank and welcome Allison Snyder. I hope I said that correct.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
She's our Vice President for Talent Acquisition at Canvas Worldwide. And just a little bit about Canvas Worldwide. It is one of the largest independent media agencies in the US, partnering with top brands to deliver innovative, data-driven marketing solutions. And their work is very creative, analytical, very strategic in all that they do, and it's a great fit for our students. If you're interested in media and advertising and so forth, and Allison will speak more about that. So I will just pass it off to Allison.
Yeah. Thanks, Marianne. Appreciate it. So, hi, everybody. Thanks for hanging on the line. I really appreciate it. We are a few minutes late, but want to get just, right into it. Yes, like Marianne said, I lead the talent acquisition team at Canvas Worldwide. We've got multiple offices. Our biggest office is going to be the one that we have in LA, specifically Playa Vista. We're going to be moving to El Segundo in Q1. I want to say that's around March or April timeframe. So yes, but currently our biggest office is in LA. We have an office in New York. We also have Atlanta, Dallas, and Chicago, and we have a very small office in Denver, Colorado. So, um, yeah, this is my first time doing this, virtually for you guys. I did something last year, also virtual. I think this is a kind of a different setting. So, um, yeah, I don't know if I can, present or if it's, open-ended, just to kind of give you a little bit of information. Is everybody here a graduate student? Is that correct?
I think we have a mix of some seniors as well, undergrad, seniors, and graduate students. And you do have the ability to share if you share screen if you'd like.
Okay. All right. Okay, here. So let me get this going just to give you just a little bit of insight into the agency. Can everybody see that?
Mm, I don't think so.
Let's do
Yep.
share. We got it now.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So just kind of a little bit of an intro into Canvas Worldwide. I'll also introduce myself, kind of background and, maybe why it is that I might know what I'm talking about a little bit here. Give you just a little bit of info on how to join our team and then some tips and advice for you guys here. So um, real fun little screen for you to kind of get an idea of what Canvas Worldwide is all about. Some of the clients that we have worked on that we currently hold. We are a media advertising agency. So we're not a full service agency. We partner with those creative agencies. We specifically do the media piece of that. We're about 512 employees strong here. We've won several awards. And like I said before, our biggest office is located in LA. So hopefully we've got some, marketing business folks here. This might make a little bit of sense here on the media side versus a full service creative agency. We just really love what we do. We consider ourselves a pretty fun group of people. Just a little bit of the stats. Again, some of the awards that we've won recently in 2025, Campaign US Agency of the Year. Campaign US is magazine and an advertising platform. So we received that award in 2025. We've also got, an award from Ad Age, Best Places to Work. We won that 2 years in a row. We're growing tremendously since being at Canvas. I've hired hundreds of people within the agency. So when I first started, we were really only about like 200, 250. So we've grown exponentially. So it's really cool to see the growth of our agency. And we do have a really good turnover and retention rate here. People love working at Canvas. We have a really good group of talent. And so our numbers within the industry, as far as, how many people stay at the agency, we've got some really good numbers on that too. So it just kind of shows you how much fun we have and how much, the staff and our talent really enjoys being a part of the broader Canvas family. Um, just a little bit information, big old headshot of myself there. I don't know how to make it a whole lot smaller there, but I just kind of want to give you a little bit of who I am and why I'm at Canvas, how long I've been in the industry here. I'm currently the VP of Talent for Canvas. I've been at Canvas for about 6 years, so on the media advertising space, on that side of creative and marketing. So 6 years with here at Canvas, and I have a team of 2 recruiters currently, and they sit in different parts of the U.S. to help on the recruitment front. And we kind of band together and we recruit from all of our entry level all the way up to our officers and senior leadership here at Canvas. But in the past, I started in HR. So I've got, well over about 20 years within the HR space. That's kind of how I started. 15 years experience within the marketing and advertising space. I did start at a creative agency when I first got into marketing and advertising. So I do have that broader picture of what it's like to work at a full service agency versus some of the independent or more niche marketing and advertising agencies. And I've also worked within the legal, retail, and aerospace industries. So I've made that switch fully over to talent acquisition, talent management here at Canvas for the past 6 years. So there is a QR code. This will take you directly to our job site internally here at Canvas. You can look at opportunities that we do have available. We don't have a ton currently open, but we can talk about how to really set yourself up for success, some of the titles that you might want to look for, and then those departments that we hire for as well. Our motto, challenge the comfortable. That's the ethos of our agency. So we just like to say that if you're ready to challenge the comfortable, this is how you can do that and how you can join our team. So some of the departments or titles that you would look for or that are available with here at Canvas. Departments, we've got them across traditional media planning and strategy, and we do have some digital roles too and digital departments. Across strategy, we have our brand strategy team, our retail strategy, and performance strategy teams. So when I say strategy, we're specifically talking about the strategy around the media planning for our campaigns. Okay, so think of this if you do have an idea of marketing and advertising, creative agencies, full service agencies, you may see some of those roles listed as account roles. Account management roles. Again, think of Canvas as more on that media side where we're doing just really strictly all of the media strategy, planning, advertising, and analytics on the media front for our clients. And we partner with those creative agencies. So think of strategy as more of like that planning side of the business. Investment, those would be the buying of those ad placements across those different channels of advertising. So we're going to do that on a national scale, a local, and then we're also going to have digital buying capabilities on our investment teams. Paid media, we have, again, we're not doing any of the content creation, but we are buying that ad space and the strategy behind that. So on the paid media side, we're doing search SEO, search engine optimization, doing a little bit of the SEM on the paid social front. We're purchasing, buying on the social front, and then also programmatic too. Kind of like a newer digital buying platform that we have here, several years old, right? This isn't like super, super new, but here within Canvas, we have onboarded in the past 2 years. We have a full-fledged programmatic team that does all of our digital buying across all of our clients now. So that's a really exciting thing for us. We do analytics, right? So that is measuring data, How are our campaigns performing, and how do we communicate that to our clients? What demographic do they want to advertise to? Who do they want to market to? And how is that performing in real time? So that analytics side of the business. And then platforms and technology, really techie, really behind the scenes, the unsung heroes, maybe a little bit of the agencies, those that are really tagging the campaigns, and also being involved in how that the campaign is actually performing. And again, just kind of hitting on that, these are traditional and digital roles that we hire at Canvas. And we also have what you want to look for as you are looking at our website, as you are looking for jobs that might pop up that pique your interest here at Canvas. You want to hone in on what our titles are for entry level, or those roles that require a little bit of experience to no experience within the media agency. So those are going to be associate, junior analyst, and even analyst. So our search and social paid media teams, they usually start at an analyst level. So if you see an analyst listed on one of those teams, like an analyst for paid social or an analyst for SEO, that's really going to be the entry level role. Whereas on our analytics team, they're going to start at a junior analyst level. An analyst within the analytics team here at Canvas is going to have that 2 to 3 years of experience already. So what we look for, how might you stand out? I'll also kind of, talk a little bit about some advice too on what you want to, pay attention to as you go out into not just applying for jobs here at Canvas, but this may apply to some of your other opportunities and careers that you want to, or roles that you want to apply for outside of Canvas too. But what we kind of specifically look for and how you might stand out, my team, we're really looking for consistency, okay, across your resume and your LinkedIn profiles. You can keep it simple. So I think maybe there might be a misconception here that resumes really need to be flooded with a bunch of information. That's not necessarily the case. We understand that a lot of people who are in college, who are about to graduate, going back to school, maybe you're furthering your education, you may not have a ton of experience to share or to put on your resume. And there's really no need to fluff it, or just to kind of add additional space onto the resume. You can keep it simple and just to the point, right? Put on there if you're willing to relocate. In today's age, we are in, at least, Canvas is, we're coming into the office a couple of days a week. Okay, the rest of that time, a few days in between there, is a work from home. But if you are somebody that's willing to work in a different city and location, put that on your resume or your LinkedIn profile somewhere. We want to know that. If we post a role in New York, but you're in Southern California, we may pass over your resume. Why would you apply for a role in New York if you're in Southern California? Just list it. Just put it on there. Willing to relocate to these places, or just an open-ended willing to relocate for the right opportunity, for example. Let us know. Don't kind of rush through that resume. Your resume can change as many times as you want, but make sure you've got a trusted person that's looking at that resume and kind of giving it that second, third, fourth over for you. Okay. When it comes to LinkedIn, you definitely want to have a LinkedIn presence, that online profile presence. You want it to mirror what is on your resume. So time frame. That timeline should mirror your resume. All the experience that you have, any internships, your schooling, make sure that that lines up on the resume. Make sure that you have the proper contact information listed on your LinkedIn profile. Some people will go ahead and create a email address just to receive contacts from recruiters, or just to receive and send applications for jobs, which I think is really helpful. So if you have a personal email box, maybe you have another one for just going out there and doing your job search, and list that on LinkedIn. My team looks for passive candidates, not just people who are applying to opportunities. So as you gain experience and you're out there in the workplace, maybe you're looking for your next opportunity, just know that we will look at passive candidates and we may reach out to you. So if our message goes to a black hole, or if your email isn't listed or it's not correct, we may not be able to reach out to you. So just something to keep in mind, to have a dedicated email address listed and keep that active on your LinkedIn profile. We are doing lots of interviews, and we're usually doing it over Teams. We're doing it virtually. So just make sure camera's on. We want to see you. We want to see your face. We want to interact with you, right? You want to reference that posting. So if we're interviewing you, you want to have that job description in front of you, want to be able to see what it is that piqued your interest, why you want to work at Canvas. Talk to us about that. This isn't just, one side interview. We want to hear from you. Don't be too prepared, right? You want to know your stuff. You obviously are able to give us information about what it is that you like, what experience you have, but don't be too prepared that you may sound rehearsed, or it may sound not true to who you actually are and your personality isn't coming across too. So ask us questions, definitely. So what I kind of know to be true about the length of time that I've been in this space, lots of hiring, even in my HR positions, HR roles that I've held in the past, I've also had a dual role within hiring and meeting with candidates. So kind of what I know to be true and what I know and see to be successful here at Canvas specifically is you want to advocate for yourself. So if you get, your first entry level position, or maybe you've just started a role within this industry and you're maybe just a few months in, 6 months in, continuing your education, good on you. But I want to make sure that you are advocating for yourself, especially in, like I said, today's day and age, when we're coming into the office, maybe only on a hybrid schedule, and the rest of the time you're working from home. It's very easy to get lost in the sauce. Okay. If you're not advocating for yourself, raising your hand, asking for clarification, making sure that you're staying on track, your supervisor may have no idea that you're lost, and then it may become too late, right? Where you may be lacking in a certain area, and then it becomes time where it is actually a problem. Speak up for yourself. Make sure that if there is a question or any area, in the first 30 to 90, 120 days, that you are addressing that, that issue early on. Speak up for yourself. Okay. I see that as being a really good key to have for employees that are coming in, and this may be their very first job within the marketing and advertising space. Network with your coworkers. Again, you're not in the office every single day, at least here at Canvas and a lot of other marketing and advertising agencies. Network. Get to know your coworkers. It's very common to find your next job in your new role because you've worked with somebody before in the past and you've made that connection. You hear about somebody going and getting another opportunity, or you see they've updated their LinkedIn profile, working at, such and such place as a, account executive now. Wow, do you like it there? Let me know how it goes. I'll check in with you in a couple of months. Let me know. I'm thinking about, making a move myself, or how did you get this role and opportunity? You want to make sure that you're making those connections. That's kind of gone to the wayside a little bit as we've transitioned to more of that hybrid or remote type of opportunities. You just want to be sure that you're networking and getting to know your coworkers. It really can make that difference as you look for another opportunity years down the line, or making a career change, for example. So get involved, participate in agency events. I recommend this as I'm meeting with entry-level candidates that are coming on board. You want to be involved in those events. Again, you want to get to know your coworkers, but you also want to get to know other leaders within the agency. You may be at an event that your company hosts, and it's an event, whether it's on-site, off-site, whatever that may be. Introduce yourself to somebody that you don't know. I know that may be a hard thing to do, but trust me, Any leader within the agency that's worth getting to know and worth talking to is going to shake your hand and is going to remember your name, and you can build a relationship with that person. So you want to be able to build connections within your agency, your current company, right? And so get involved. And people will get to know you and they will recognize you and they will say, oh, hey, I saw you at the event the other day. How's it going? How was your weekend? Right? More dialogue, more conversation happens, and you get noticed, and more opportunities can come your way that way as well. Help the next one in line. Events like this are great for myself to be able to talk to young talent within the space, those that are transitioning from a current career and into the next career. These are really great opportunities, and I just encourage anybody on here to do the same. So when you get to a place where you feel like you've got a breadth of knowledge and information, to go ahead and come back to things like this and definitely help the next one in line. I'm open to conversations. That was really brief, but I wanted to give you my contact information. Um, Leave that QR code up there for just a minute here. My name, title, and then my email address. And also that QR code you can save actually onto your device too, if you would like to. I don't know if we've had anything pop up in the chat. Doesn't look like it, but I'm definitely open to any questions if I didn't hit on anything or what you were, hoping to gather from this meeting. So,
I think you honestly covered a lot. I mean, you had a lot of tips and things like that. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to raise your hand and unmute yourself.
I went ahead and stopped sharing, but if you do, Marianne, if anybody on here would like my contact information, you certainly can share that with the participants. So that's
Yes.
totally fine.
I mean, I always have some backup questions, but I think you kind of answered it because, you know,
Or I can
about
go back to a slide if anybody wants to see something
yeah.
else, but yeah.
What do you, I mean, I'll start with one, just one.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that some students always ask is like, what is one of the biggest challenge that a new employee might encounter when stepping into Canvas Worldwide or just in, your industry?
Yeah. I think this, goes back to um, speaking up a little bit, right? Making sure that not necessarily, how do I want to put this? I think some of the challenges could be is we do have different personalities across our agency, and so it's navigating those personalities when you first join your team. But for at Canvas, it's not being afraid to have dialogue and conversations and to raise your hand again to advocate for yourself. Some people can sit back and really take things in and be a little too quiet. At a certain point here at Canvas, I can tell you, you're definitely going to be picked on to go ahead and bring your ideas to the table, right? What do you think, Marianne? What can what let me, have a sidebar conversation with you. And if you're not ready to have those conversations, you may be looked over for other opportunities for that to happen in the future. Most of our roles, entry level, are client facing. They do get to interact with our clients. So if you are somebody who is really not willing to have, open communication, open dialogue, and raise your hand, you may not be seen as somebody who is a trusted resource. You definitely have to be able to put yourself out there a little bit, challenge that comfortable, and make sure that you are a trusted individual on the team. And it starts with communication and raising your hand.
I really like that. I'm writing that down, challenge to comfortable, because I mean, especially if you're an introvert, because I'm an introvert, but it's like I have to challenge myself sometimes to be able to speak up and ask the questions. And we always encourage our students to do that as well. Um, does anybody else have any other questions?
I do have a question.
Sure.
Yes, so hi, Alison. Thank you so much for the presentation. I really appreciate your time. So, the very first question that I have for you is what qualities or skills do you look for in like ideal candidates for the role?
Yeah. So I would say somebody who's researched our company ahead of time, somebody who can speak to something that they've seen out in the industry news. Maybe it was a commercial that you know that Canvas has been a part of in some way, shape, or form. Any kind of piece of information that you can any kind of piece of information that you can share about the agency that you've learned or that you like, or maybe you would like us to clarify, those are good things to come to the table with. It gets boring for recruiters to just, ask this. We have a list of questions to ask for our open positions, right? But it can be very boring just asking those same questions if we're not getting any questions asked of us. So I think somebody who can come to the table and speak to what it is that they actually like or know about our agency, those are good things to have in the interview process. And then I think somebody who is just ready to come in and be a sponge and learn. Um, the onboarding period can be a little overwhelming, right? Again, there's a lot to learn in the early stages, and you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. So I think somebody who can just come in and remain open-minded and be okay with just kind of like staying the course, right? It's gonna get easier, and really be able to like make sure that they don't get too overwhelmed in the very beginning. Those are definitely things you can kind of tell that about somebody, especially when you bring them on for an on-site interview, right? Um, do they arrive on time? Do they seem flustered? Are they, frustrated with the validation system, right? Like kind of having that even keel tone about you. Kind of we can gauge that from people who come in and interview with us, whether or not um, they've got the ability to come in and really sit down, settle in, learn, be that sponge early on and not get too overwhelmed and flustered. Um, there's just a couple things to keep in mind. A lot of that I think is just common sense too. I think a lot of it is just, what you've heard over and over from um, recruiters too, possibly in the industry. But I think those are just a couple of things that really makes Canvas talent unique within the space.
Thank
Um, I have, let me ask this one question that's in the chat and then we'll go to
Oh yeah.
Maria. Um, I was especially looking forward to this. I'm unable to unmute. Oh, sorry. The question is, what are the opportunities for portfolio projects, internships, part-time or full-time for students on valid F1 STEM visas?
Okay. So for us here at Canvas, that's not going to restrict you from being employed at Canvas. However, we don't sponsor visas. So if that is the situation, we just don't sponsor. So I will tell you that we have had interns, we have had entry-level employees here at Canvas that are on a visa, but we just don't sponsor. So just kind of keep that in mind, but we would not make a hiring decision based on whether or not somebody does or does not have a visa. On our application process, though, on our application, we do ask that, though. That is something that we have asked or currently do ask on all of our applications. It is good to know that information as we go into and continue on the process with candidates that have a visa. And then we're very upfront and just say we will not sponsor though. So when it comes time to do that, just know that that is not something that Canvas will meet you with and sponsor. Um, I did have something that came up though that I was gonna say, and it's not popular, and some people will think that it is crazy that I'm saying this, but I actually do like cover letters. So, for example, as I'm talking to you about, you know, maybe your experience or your schooling doesn't 100% match up to an open position that we have here at Canvas. put it in a cover letter. Why do you think that this really would be best case scenario for you and for Canvas? Cover letters are great. We do read them. My team does, and they know to read them because in many cases there are resumes that come across our applicant tracking system, our ATS, and we're kind of like, I'm not really sure why this person applied. There doesn't really totally seem to be a match. But then there are other times where we see that, and then there's a letter attached to that. And sometimes it, is really well written and it makes sense. And it gives us that opportunity to be like, hey, this really is somebody worth talking to. They've actually taken the time to put together a cover letter and tell us why it is that they really would like to be considered for the role and give us pieces of information to get to know them a little bit better. So I wanted to hit on that too. I don't know if I put that on the slides there, but I actually do enjoy a cover letter attached to a resume. It serves its purpose. It has a place.
Just a quick follow-up. And I'm assuming the question is, would OPT option be available though? And I'm assuming yes, because that doesn't really require sponsorship.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Maria?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight and advice with us. I actually wanted to go back to what you said in the beginning of your presentation, where you said your company is both a creative and analytical company. As someone who's in marketing and is considering both, how did you guys manage to like bridge that gap? And are there any specific roles you see?
So I would describe us as a creative employer, meaning that we are a creative bunch of people. But if working at a company or an agency that is a creative content agency where they're creating they're creating the ads, the copywriting, the the art direction, the production, things of that nature, that's not what Canvas is. We're doing kind of everything with the content that has already been created by those content agencies. Yes, we will do the analytics on that after the campaign has aired, after the campaign has hit to consumers. We do the analytics on that. But we are pretty creative. We are a pretty creative bunch of people. So I guess that's a good question, but I think maybe I would ask, you're either thinking about being a creative or working in analytics, Maria.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of both where I'm debating on whether I should approach the more creative side or where I should approach the more analytical side.
Okay.
Both seem interesting, but yeah, I kind of wanted to see how you guys were able to find that middle ground.
Yes. So for example, our creative agency InOcean, which is in Huntington Beach, they are the agency, the creative agency for Hyundai. Okay. And they have a whole entire creative team. They also have a digital team, and they're also going to have analytics in-house at InOcean. My suggestion would be a place like that, like a creative agency or a full service shop, could give you a broader picture of how creative analytics, account, project management, how everything kind of works together under one roof. That may give you, or to internship, for example, that may give you a better idea of how all those teams work together. For Canvas, on the analytics side of it, our analytics team isn't necessarily seeing that creative and analyzing that creative or putting the analytics together before the creatives are coming up with the information. It's more after the fact. So it is very different in that way. Now we have creative people that think outside the box and are coming up with some really cool things for our clients to take into consideration as they choose to purchase and advertise in different marketing spaces. But it is two very different things. So my suggestion would be that either, full service where you can kind of get an idea where everything falls together under one roof.
Thank you so much. And then as for my second question, is there any like specific skills you look for in your company?
Excel. Like Excel, Microsoft Office suite, you have to be well versed in those. As media planning and strategy, you will be in Excel a ton. You will always be in Excel. You will be looking at data sets, you will be pulling information, you'll be handling budgets, and all of that is going to be within Excel. So if you're not an Excel person, I would say that media, strategy and advertising and investment is likely not best for you, but definitely the hard skill to have would be Excel experience. Yeah. Um, if I were to pull like one soft skill, probably it would be, your ability to communicate across, multiple levels within the agency. Like I said, we're a pretty scrappy, unique agency, and we have an open door policy. So there's a lot of people here that are going to be speaking up and, challenging things and bringing ideas to the table. So I would think within the media space here, one of those, soft skills would be communicating across, multiple levels and across different personalities.
Thank you so much for your insight. I appreciate it a lot, Allison.
Of course. Thanks, Maria.
Any other questions?
Were you managing the chat, Marianne? Did I miss
Yes,
anything?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is anybody on this call, anybody part of like the House at Long Beach ad club at all? Hand raisers? Maybe not. We host some agency events here, and so we like to partner with various ad clubs. Cal State Fullerton has their ad club. Long Beach has their ad club. We also partner with UCLA's Hispanic Marketing Club too. So we host, AMA, yes, perfect. What I will recommend too is just a little bit, and actually is good to put in my slides for future presentations too, is there are chapters specific within the advertising space, like Think LA. If anybody's been to a Think LA event, they are a good chapter, a good group of advertising and marketing professionals that get together and host various events across Southern California. Those would be specific to marketing and advertising events. So I would take a look at that, Think LA. They do a lot of stuff for young professionals, those just graduating. I believe they have a mentorship program through Think LA. Something else to take into consideration would be the 4As, the Advertising Federation. There's a MAPE program, Multicultural Advertising Internship Program. Those are all various resources that you could, as young talent entering the marketing and advertising space, that you could take a look at. Yeah, that would just kind of be a little bit of some suggestions for you guys, different resources within that space too.
Of course, and great networking as always.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Awesome. Well, you guys all have Allison's email. She is very awesome and amazing. I mean, she's responded to my emails, and so I love that about you, Allison, because some people don't always do that. So I really appreciate that. And so if you guys do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Allison. Um, you gave so many great tips. I mean, especially, about resumes, interview prep, networking. I think that is so important. And that's something that we always harp about. And it's always great to hear from someone else who's saying it. I do want to put a quick plug in there for career services. Please come make an appointment with us. We can help you also with your resume, LinkedIn profile, marketing reviews, any of that. We do have some future networking events that's happening in the spring semester. I might reach out to you, Allison. Please, reach out. I did put an eval into the chat. If you guys can just go ahead and quickly fill that out. And then I think that really does help us with our future planning. Sorry, I think that's my dog. Um, but thank you all again very much. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, everyone who joined us today. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of the day and rest of your week and enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, thanks for participating. This was fun. Thanks,
Yeah.
Marianne. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Allison.
Okay.
Bye-bye.